You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.
Hi, everyone. We're here to allow Gordana Schifanelli to talk about her campaign as Lieutenant Governor with Dan Cox, who is running for governor. What are your top 3 priorities to get done immediately?
Number 1 is school of choice. The money must follow the child. There's no reason why children must continue to attend schools that are failing. Average cost per student is over $13,000. That money needs to be sent to a school of that parent's choice. So if it's a private school, that money goes to private school. If it's a public school, then it's a public school. If it's a charter school, it's a charter school. But money follows the child. Number 2 priority would be immediately restoring people who have been terminated from their jobs because of their vaccine status or their mask status. All employees terminated from their jobs, if and should they choose to return, needs to be allowed to return, and the monies need to be paid to them for unlawful and unconstitutional termination. And number 3, if I were to pick, would be funding the police and restoring and defending the police officers all across Maryland. Many police officers, first responders, nurses, teachers resigned and left, early retired, because they were forced to have mask mandates or vaccine mandates, triple booster, second booster, third booster. The entire insanity with forced vaccination and becoming a part of an experimental vaccine project needs to end, and it should end with Dan and myself in the office. Those would be the 3.
What would your administration do to curb the violence, first in Baltimore City, but in Baltimore County, because it's spreading out all over the place in Maryland?
We have to understand that there are gangs. There are gangs and gang members. To curb that violence, we have to instruct our police officers to work hand in glove with Immigration Customs Enforcement. So all of those MS-13 gangs and other gang members that are here illegally need to be placed in expedited deportation proceedings or in the process. And many of them already have orders of deportation, but they're not executed. They're not fulfilled or enforced. Funding the police, training the police, and going aggressively against violent criminals would be something that Dan Cox and I stand very firmly on. I personally would like to institute death penalty for violent criminals. Maryland had death penalty. I am for death penalty for violent criminals who go and rape 5-year-olds and who commit egregious crimes. That may not be very popular, but I don't believe that we can afford one extra parent losing a child to a violent criminal in that manner. Aggressive law enforcement would be something that my administration would strongly support and fund and help.
Would you do another shutdown?
Never. I wouldn't even do the shutdown the first time. So had Dan and I been in the office 2 years ago, there would be no shutdowns, at least not in my memory. In fact, when the state did get shut down, after 3 months since it was March, so we had March, April, May, children were going through Zoom and Google Chrome, and I realized nobody is learning anything. And end of May, early June, children were supposed to be off school. And then I thought, these kids need to go outside. I mean, the boys, they're stuck in the house. They need to go run and get some fresh air. So all summer camps were shut down as well. So the kids couldn't go. So my husband and I actually asked the parents if they would let us and volunteer to take about 20 kids to take them to West Virginia mountains to a summer camp just on our own camp out. And we ended up hosting 20 children from Boy Scout Troop 495 in Virginia, when everything else was shut down, we were swimming, fishing, hunting, playing hide and seek, and loving life. So and that was in 2020, before that ominous superintendent's outburst of hate towards police officers. So I would have never shut anybody down. I would have never allowed division between essential and non-essential businesses, essential and non-essential people. My whole point of liberty is that you have a choice, and it's your choice. If you want to stay at home, stay at home. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you want to wear 2 masks in the car and alone, do it. I don't judge you. I don't care. You are a free person, and a free person can do with their body whatever they choose to do with their own body. It is part of those natural rights engraved in our Bill of Rights.
What do you think of Maryland taxes? And people have been moving out of state for years now.
One of the saddest things is to realize that Maryland leads the exodus list of states, behind, or maybe sometimes before Connecticut and New York, New Jersey. So Maryland is one of the bottom states, or the least friendly states, when it comes to retirement and enjoying the retirement, and it is because it's heavily taxed. So, prior to Governor Hogan's election, we had literally a rain tax by then Democratic Governor O'Malley. After that, we had Governor Hogan, but the exodus from Maryland never stopped. So people continued to flee Maryland. And that is sad. 66% of Marylanders work in either federal, state, or local government. So most people in Maryland that are employed, they're employed in some kind of administration, whether they're in federal, state, or local government. So retiring in Maryland is absolutely impossible. And I was thinking, when we wanted to retire, I was thinking, well, we need to sell the house and move. That is typically how families plan the next stage in their lives, and it shouldn't be that way.
Yes, you don't want to die in Maryland because the taxes are so high.
Correct. So Maryland legislature represents 2/3 are Democrats, and they have pushed heavily for all kinds of taxes. We have Maryland state income tax, sales tax, inheritance tax, different type of tax rates depending on what kind of business people are engaged in. Hotel tax is different from arts tax. So there's different taxes imposed on mostly small businesses. But what's additionally burdensome is the regulations. The regulations, the fees, the licenses, the permits. The part of burdens that even if people would want to stay and try something in Maryland, they can't, because the regulatory burdens and fees are too high. There's a lot executive branch can do, but the biggest issue with taxing is on the Maryland state legislature. The people need to understand that they need to run for office and take ineffective and inefficient and toxic legislatures out, replace them, because only fresh, bright, new candidates will have courage to vote for terminating sales tax or terminating Maryland income tax. If one of those taxes is terminated, we would see a major difference and major shift in our state's economic advancements and policies to help small businesses and retirees. Some states, I would propose to Maryland legislature to try, just to be brave enough to try to eliminate taxes on income to those who are first responders and veterans. Let's try with that. People who are first responders, police officers, and veterans, they are on a fixed income. Maybe let's try and giving them a break, and then try to take an extra step and then eliminate more of the Maryland income or sales tax. We have Delaware that doesn't have a sales tax. We have many states like Florida that does not have income tax, and seems to me they're doing just quite well.
They thrive more than Maryland is thriving.
Definitely
Maryland
thrive
is
more.
not thriving except for the percentage of government employees.
And those government employees do tend to retire and then they leave.
I want to thank you Jordana.
I'm happy to be
Gordana
here.
Schifanelli, and she is running for lieutenant governor with Dan Cox.
You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.